Am I the idiot for telling my wife it was a mistake to stay at a baby shower? So my wife, female 26, and I, male 28, have been married for a year and began trying to conceive in September. No luck so far, but the doctor did say at our first appointment that it typically takes close to a year for most couples to conceive. She's been telling people that she's infertile, which isn't true. The doctor said she isn't. My wife and I went to my work Christmas party in mid-December, where my wife met my coworker's wife, let's call her Mary, and they took a liking to each other. Mary was pregnant and invited my wife to her baby shower, which was yesterday, and my wife sounded excited to go. I asked her when we were alone if she thinks she'll be fine. I know my wife and I know what typically bothers her. I knew she wouldn't bask in happiness over someone else's pregnancy, so I urged her to think it through. She said she's fine and she was excited, so she went. The baby shower was yesterday. About 40 minutes in, she calls me and asks me to come. I was at a cafe nearby because I knew she wouldn't stay long. I find her at the entrance of the house crying and a bunch of women consoling her. When she saw me, she came to me and pulled me to the garden to talk. She said she was dancing and looked at Mary's pregnant belly and couldn't take it anymore, started crying and ran out. All of Mary's friends followed her out to console her. I consoled her myself and said, "Okay, let's go, babe. Where do you want to go? We can go for a drive so you can feel better." She looked at me weird and asked why she would leave. I asked why she would stay. She said she feels better now and can go have a good time. I sighed and said, "Babe, you know that's not going to happen. And I doubt the attention will be on Mary after this, and that's not great. It's her baby shower, and she deserves to be celebrated. I can't see how people are going to shift their focus from consoling you to celebrating her if you're still there." She rolled her eyes at me and said she was going back in and that I could leave. 3 hours later, the party was nearing its end, so I went back to pick her up. My coworker and I stepped into the house, and lo and behold, everyone was sitting in a circle with my wife being the center of attention. Coworker looked for his wife, and she wasn't there at all. He called her, and she said she had left ages ago. My wife and I entered the car, and I first asked her how she was feeling, and we spoke about it for a few minutes. I then asked her what happened and why Mary left. She said, "Oh crap, Mary. I forgot to say bye to her." I told her Mary left ages ago. I then said, "I know you're going through a hard time, but why on earth would you and her friends do this? If they consoled you for a few minutes, that's fine, but the entire party? We really should have left earlier." She looked at me so offended and said, "Are you Mary's husband or mine?" We stared at each other for a while and just drove home in silence. I told her I wanted to talk to her this morning to sort things out, but she ignored me and left the house. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your wife turned someone else's celebration into her own pity party, to the point that the guest of honor left her own shower and didn't realize she did anything wrong? Do you really want to have a child with a woman like that? Comment 2. Not the idiot, but your wife is. Sounds like she's quite enjoying the attention her infertility gets her. I feel very sorry for Mary. Your wife should apologize, then get some professional help. Now for the update. So I texted my coworker, let's call him Frank, and asked if we could talk, so we met up during our lunch break. I apologized for everything that happened. He kept telling me it's fine and being so nice about it, and that kind of made me feel worse. He said he had booked Mary a ticket back home for a week and that her sisters and friends were going to surprise her with another baby shower. I asked if he'd mind my wife and I paying the expenses of the baby shower they were going to throw. He laughed and said no way, but that he appreciated it. We went back and forth a bit, but he eventually said he'd ask his sister-in-law how much she spends on everything and then would let me know, and we can pay half of it. I spoke to my wife when I got home from work. She apologized for ignoring me and said she doesn't know why she behaves like this. She said she is embarrassed, and she can't bring herself to come to terms with how she behaved. We also spoke about the infertility thing. She said she thought her saying it out loud and discussing it with people would make it easier for her if she found out she was actually infertile, because she would have already come to terms with it. I don't get it, but hey, at least she didn't dodge accountability this time and did acknowledge that it's wrong and she needs to stop. It's slightly worrying to me how she sounds like a completely new person so often lately. Almost like there are multiple versions of her who don't know each other. I said I'm glad she now realizes it's wrong, and asked her to send flowers or something with an apology note to Mary's house. I also mentioned that I offered to pay for the next baby shower, and she told me to insist that SHE pays it all and not half. I said I'm fine with splitting it. She also said she would bake a cake and go to Mary personally to apologize. I told her Mary is leaving town for a week, so that we'll have to wait till she gets back, but she did send a lengthy text with a sincere, in my opinion, text. Mary responded saying my wife didn't need to apologize and that she understands what happened, and thanked her for attending her baby shower. Mary also apologized for leaving without saying goodbye to my wife and the rest of the guests. You see how nice Mary and Frank are? Jesus Christ. We decided on both individual and couples therapy soon. Anyone know if it's okay to do them simultaneously? She wants to, but I'm not sure it's a great idea. It was a given that we would stop trying for a baby, so that's definitely on hold for now. So yeah, that's it for now, I guess. I've never been to therapy and neither has she, so I'm hoping this is the beginning of our relationship getting much healthier, and our individual growth as well. Thank you so much to everyone who responded. My mind is blown by how many of you did. Hope you all have a great year. Comment 1. Did not expect that kind of update after the first post. I mean, your wife acknowledging she is behaving badly after being so unhinged. So there might be some hope there. Comment 2. Give Frank and Mary some space. My guess is that while they are being nice, what they really want is to forget about what happened, so reach out to Frank on your own about paying for the shower. But suggest your wife give Mary some space at least until after the baby is born. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my wife she shouldn't go to a wedding without me? My wife and I have been married for about 10 years. Over that time, we've been to over a dozen weddings of our respective friends and family. The invitations have always been addressed to both of us as a married couple. Many times I've gone to her friends' weddings where I only know 1 or 2 people, and she's been in the same situation with my friends' weddings. We've always made new acquaintances and had great times. Last month she received a wedding invitation from an old high school friend. The problem is that it was addressed to only her and didn't mention me or a +1. We know that this friend knows we're married as they attended our wedding. We thought this was an oversight, so she called her friends and was told that they had a huge list of people and had to cut down the list, and I didn't make the cut. I've never heard of one married partner being invited to a wedding without the other. I asked my large group of friends and family, and no one has ever heard of such a thing. The other part that makes me feel uncomfortable is that the wedding is in her home state, so she'll be flying back there alone. Lastly, 3 of her exes will be in attendance because they used to be part of the same friends group. 1 from HS and 2 from college. I know I'm sounding very possessive, but I promise I'm not. My wife sometimes goes out with her girlfriends and has even gone on a couple of girls-only vacations, and I've never had a problem before. However, I find this entire situation to be weird. Last night, as she was looking for her airline ticket, I told her I was uncomfortable with her going without me. She said I wouldn't have fun as I won't know anyone there, and that she'll be busy catching up with old friends. Then I suggested I come back to that state and go fishing with her father, as he and I usually take a fishing trip once a year together. She shut that idea down immediately and said I should stay home and relax. I don't know if it was because I was already uneasy with the trip, but it felt like she didn't want me anywhere near the state. After some back and forth, I told her I am very uncomfortable with the entire thing, and that started a heated discussion where I ended it by telling her she shouldn't go, and if she does this will cause a deep rift between us. I've never said those words before, so I'm unsure if I'm an H right now. There's no updates, so here's the comments. So, you don't want her to go to a wedding and see her friends because she dated some of the people there more than a decade ago? You don't even want her to be in a different state without you being in the vicinity? But you're not being possessive. You're the idiot. Comment 2, you're the idiot. Yeah, it was rude for the couple not to invite you. But you're using it as an excuse to be extremely weird and controlling. She's not trying to keep you away from the state, she's trying to prevent you from following her to this wedding like she's a teenager, and you're her chaperone. Just stop. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for yelling at my husband because he scared me? A bit of background, I am terrified of fire. I've had traumatic experiences when I was a child and cannot go near them. I am going to therapy, but it's a long healing process. This does mean that there are certain things that annoy my husband, like when we decided to buy a house. I asked if we could get an electric stove or replace the gas one. It annoyed him, but he accepted. Other things like I have to stand far away when he's having a barbecue also annoy him, which is completely understandably irritating, but I can't change it. One night, I just finished making dinner and went to give him a back hug, arms wrapped around his shoulders kind of hug, and he instantly pulls out a lighter from his pocket and holds it close to me. I freak out and try to get away from the lighter. When he finally puts it away, I yell at him, and I'm crying, asking him why he thought that was a good idea. He told me that he heard of exposure therapy and he was sick of my antics. When he comes near me again, I yell at him to stay back and run out of the room, locking myself in the bedroom. It's only when I'm alone that I break down crying. In the morning he won't talk to me, saying that he was only trying to help, and yelling at him made him feel like poop. I wonder if I overreacted. So Reddit, am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, he shouldn't be testing out his exposure therapy ideas unless he's trained to do so and you consent. He was an AH. You can help your immediate response to what he did, and if he feels like poop, good, he should. What he did wasn't okay. Comment 2, not the idiot. I am not afraid of fire. I would be afraid if someone lit a lighter and held it close to me for no discernible reason. Your husband is being an ass in more ways than one. He did something wildly inappropriate, you had a completely reasonable reaction, and he felt guilty. Now he's blaming you for the discomfort that guilt is causing. Now, for the update. He still wasn't talking to me after 3 days, so I confronted my husband. I told him that I hoped that he really meant the best, but it actually made me lose trust in him, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to trust him for a little while. He brushed it off, rolling his eyes and saying it wasn't that big of a deal. I simply replied that it was a big deal for me and I know that my trauma may be annoying to him, but that didn't give him the right to do that. Afterwards, he reluctantly agreed when I asked for marriage counseling. I told my psychologist about what he did and she was horrified and suggested marriage therapy. Unfortunately, each time it was time for our appointment, he would make some kind of excuse not to go. He was staying late at work, there were no groceries, so he had to go shopping, and I grew frustrated. I asked him if he really wanted to make things work, and he didn't answer straight away. He said that he was only trying to help, and by making him seem like a bully that I didn't appreciate him and all the things he had to accommodate for my antics. That was the last straw. I placed my wedding ring on the table and left. So now I'm staying at a friend's house and I'm in contact with a lawyer. I'm forever thankful to you, Reddit, for all your kind words. I don't know what to do at the moment as he has set my progress back a lot, but I think eventually I'll be okay. And now, I'm surrounded by people who care about me and don't think of my trauma as annoying. Comment 1. You might feel like he set your progress back with fire, but you must also recognize that by standing your ground and standing up for yourself, that's huge personal growth. It's a difficult thing for anyone to do, and you did it. Comment 2. He could just I apologize. Frankly, he doesn't give a crap about your feelings and your mental health. Therapy would be a good start, but he refused that option. You deserve to be loved, and your fear is understandable, and you deserve a supportive partner. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. See you next time.